Hello. Well, we're back again. I am reading Suetonius's The 12 Caesars. Last time I did paragraph 7, 8, and 9, and when we left off, Caesar supposedly had conspired with Marcus Crassus and Publius Sulla and Lucius Autronius and maybe some other people to supposedly murder most of or all of the Senate and then install Crassus as dictator. Never got told that before when I was younger. Nobody who ever talked to me told me about Rome or Caesar ever said anything about this. But it didn't go through. We know that Crassus never showed up. Caesar was supposed to give a signal, which was supposed to be he shimmied a little bit to get some of this toga off his shoulder. And this was supposed to be the sign for Crassus, I suppose, if he came in to be the one who did it or kicked it off. But Marcus Crassus didn't show, and they were supposedly having some other plot going on. And mind you, with all the things that have happened in the previous 3 videos, we're only 9 relatively easy paragraphs in. And Suetonius has already given us an entire soap opera of Caesar's life. He hasn't even become dictator. He hasn't crossed the Rubicon yet. He hasn't done any of these things yet. So I've been sitting here since the last video wondering what the heck is going to happen in paragraph 10, 11, 12. The rest of the freaking book with everybody else. But okay, I made some shorts on some of the things I read about, and I don't know what else to do except to jump right in and read the rest. So, paragraph 10. In his aedileship, he not only embellished the comitium and the rest of the forum with the adjoining halls, but adorned the Capitol also with temporary piazzas constructed for the purpose of displaying some part of the superabundant collections he had made for the amusement of the people. He entertained them with the hunting of wild beasts and with games, both alone and in conjunction with his colleague. On this account, he obtained the whole credit of the expense to which they had jointly contributed, insomuch that his colleague, Marcus Bibulus, could not forbear remarking that he was served in the matter of Pollux. For as the temple erected in the forum to the 2 brothers went by the name of Castor alone, so his and Caesar's joint munificence was imputed to the latter only. To the other public spectacles exhibited to the people, Caesar added a fight of gladiators, but with fewer pairs of combatants than he had intended. For he had collected from all parts so great a company of them that his enemies became alarmed, and a decree was made restricting the number of gladiators which any one was allowed to retain at Rome. All right, that's interesting. Nothing scandalous there, and it looks like Caesar's bringing people together and keeping them more or less occupied. Although I wonder if some of that's distraction from what was going to happen or did not happen earlier. But all right, paragraph 11. Having thus conciliated popular favor, he endeavored, through his interest with some of the tribunes, to get Egypt assigned to him as a province by an act of the people. Well, he's still trying. The pretext alleged for the creation of this extraordinary government was that the Alexandrians had violently expelled their king, whom the Senate had complimented with the government, with the title of an ally and friend of the Roman people. This was generally resented, but, notwithstanding, there was so much opposition from the faction of the nobles that he could not carry his point. That'll be interesting to try to look up later why the nobles were against it. But then again, it's still a power grab, so maybe they saw it for what it was. In order, therefore, to diminish their influence by every means in his power, he restored the trophies erected in honor of Caius Marius, on account of his victories over Jugurtha, the Cimbri, and the Teutoni, which had been demolished by Sulla. And when sitting in judgment upon murderers, he treated those as assassins who, in the late proscription, had received money from the treasury for bringing in the heads of Roman citizens, although they were expressly accepted in the Cornelian laws. Okay. And paragraph 12, which looks short, so I may go into 13. He likewise suborned someone to prefer in impeachment for treason against Caius Rabirius, by whose especial assistance the Senate had a few years before put down Lucius Saturninus, the seditious tribune. And being drawn by lot a judge on the trial, he condemned him with so much animosity that upon his appealing to the people, no circumstance availed him so much as the extraordinary bitterness of his judge. Okay. Paragraph 13. Having renounced all hope of attaining Egypt for his province, all right, well, I guess he knew when to quit at least, he stood candidate for the office of chief pontiff, to secure which he had recourse to the most profuse bribery. And there we go again. Calculating on this occasion the enormous amount of the debts he had contracted, he is reported to have said to his mother, when she kissed him at his going out in the morning to the assembly of the people, "I will never return home unless I am elected pontiff." In effect, he left so far behind him two most powerful competitors, who were much his superiors both in age and rank, that he had more votes in their own tribes than they both had in all the tribes together. I mean, apparently it's working for him, because even if he can't get a position, even if his power grabs don't work, even if the bribery keeps coming up again and again, it does not stop Julius Caesar from having fame and celebrity in Rome. And I guess I'll just go on. I'm going to take 14 and maybe 15, and we'll see where this goes for this video. Paragraph 14. After he was chosen praetor, the conspiracy. Okay, he was praetor. All right. So he won that, I guess. The conspiracy of Catiline was discovered. The famous Catiline conspiracy, which Cicero wrote about. And while every other member of the Senate voted for inflicting capital punishment on the accomplices in that crime, he alone proposed that the delinquents should be distributed for safe custody among the towns of Italy, their property being confiscated. He even struck such terror into those who were advocates for greater severity. By representing to them what universal odium would be attached to their memories by the Roman people, that Decius Silanus, consul-elect, did not hesitate to qualify his proposal, it not being very honorable to change it, by a lenient interpretation, as if it had been understood in a harsher sense that he intended, and Caesar would certainly have carried his point, having brought over to his side a great number of the senators, among whom was Cicero, the consul's brother, had not a speech by Marcus Cato infused new vigor into the resolutions of the Senate. He persisted, however, in obstructing the measure until a body of the Roman knights, who stood under arms as a guard, threatened him with instant death if he continued his determined opposition. They even thrust at him with their drawn swords, so that those who sat next him moved away. And a few friends with no small difficulty protected him by throwing their arms around him and covering him with their togas. At last, deterred by this violence, he not only gave way, but absented himself from the Senate House during the remainder of that year. Now, I've heard enough about the Catiline conspiracy and Cato, but I usually have only heard of it in terms of like the rivalry between him and Cicero, the great orator. But I did not know that pretty much everybody wanted his head when the vote came, except Caesar. And that Caesar apparently got hot over it, threatening until they literally had to draw weapons on him. So that, again, it doesn't make me like Julius Caesar, but it just makes him very interesting historically for me, more so than he was before. Uh, we'll end this with paragraph 15. We'll see how this ends. It's a small paragraph. Upon the first day of his praetorship, he summoned Quintus Catulus to render an account to the people respecting the repairs of the Capitol, proposing a decree for transferring the office of curator to another person. But being unable to withstand the strong opposition made by the aristocratical party, whom he perceived quitting, in great numbers, their attendance upon the new councils, and fully resolved to resist his proposal, he dropped the design. All right. I mean, apparently he's really into statecraft. Uh, the contentiousness in the Senate is still wild. Bribery charges are still wild. Swords and everything have to be drawn. But this is very early in ancient times, so I mean, on the one hand, I guess you could expect leaders to be more responsible, but again, it's ancient times. Also, there's a lot of heated debates and things, and egos being thrown around, trying to get policy and power. Everyone wants to rise up. People are very hot, and the Catalan conspiracy, I don't know a lot about it, but I know it really caused a lot of problems. But all right, so far we still haven't hit a point where Caesar is dictator. By this point, we're ending this video. Caesar is praetor, and he's early in his praetorship, and he's trying to get things done about fixing the capital. He's doing government political work. He's trying to not have people punished so harshly, which he also did in some earlier paragraphs, if I remember right. He would conspire on things, but he also would then forgive people too. So there's very much a seesaw of harshness and intimidation on his part. And then suddenly, I guess maybe reading the room, maybe it's a little bit of that. There's a bit of political cunning with him, I suppose. But we'll see how far that goes next time. But right now, I'm interested still. I'm really big on Suetonius now, and I'm 2 pages in. I'm really liking what he's writing. He sold me on Julius Caesar when no one else has, and I can't wait to read some more. So next time I'll do 16 and on. We'll see how far we get and how much more we can learn about this guy, the Senate, and other names. I'll see if I can drop some more shorts with some of the names that popped up here and situations and events. So feel free to keep an eye out for those. And as usual, let me know what you think about Caesar, ancient Rome, Suetonius, if you've read him, or anything related to ancient Rome itself. I'm going to keep reading and doing things, and I'll see you guys hopefully next week. Have a good one.